Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss the legal side of starting your business. Everything that I'm about to tell you today, I'm not a CPA. This is just research that I've done on my own, so I do recommend that if it is your first year and you're curious about any of this stuff, to reach out to a CPA and talk to them about this. It's not as hard as it seems, and you definitely don't have to pay someone to help you set up your business legally. I'm going to go ahead and give you all kinds of information, all kinds of tips in this video. I'll put some notes below for you. The only hard part to this, and I call this the administrative burden of doing your business, it's kind of just like doing taxes. It needs your undivided attention for a couple of days during that week until you get it completed, and then you can go ahead and move on and go back to doing your creations. Before we get into how to set up an LLC, what I want to do first is go over a sole proprietorship versus an LLC. And then we'll even get into S Corp just a little bit. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because most of us are not going to get to S Corp kind of earnings with our businesses. Some might, but so we'll touch on that, and I'll tell you when you would need to be concerned about an S Corp. But other than that, we're going to focus right now on sole proprietorship versus LLC. I personally, for my business, have an LLC, and that is what I highly recommend for absolutely all of you. I know that there are some makers that insist on just having a sole proprietorship, and that's what they want to stick with, and I'm going to tell you today why I believe that that is a bad idea. Now, if you are not that serious about your business, maybe you just crochet and you want to attend like 1 or 2 markets this year, or you're just doing something very light, you're just in the very beginning stages of it, you're not in serious business mode, then maybe a sole proprietorship is fine. But if you are serious and you have your own website and you're going to be going to lots of markets this upcoming summer, then an LLC is for you, and I will tell you why. The very first #1 reason, with a sole proprietorship, you don't have any kind of protection at all. If somebody sues you, they can come after all of your personal assets. This includes your home, your car, any kind of retirement that you have, any kind of investments that you've set up for your kids maybe, any money that you have in the bank, any investments that you have, anything personal. If someone sues you, they can come after all of it. If you have an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, is kind of like what it sounds like. What it is doing is it is dividing up your assets. So whatever you declare that's in the business, that is what they can come after. This is a big reason why I also do not recommend that when you form an LLC, even though you're using your car to go to markets, and you may be using your car, if you're doing this full-time like I am, you may be using your car full-time for, well, not full-time, but like 90% of the time for the business. It is better to leave your car outside of the company unless you're getting into S Corp territory. Keep your car outside of the company, keep it as a personal asset, keep it protected, and just claim your mileage with the government. Or you can also depreciate. Like I have an SUV that's a little bit more on the expensive side, and probably next year I'm going to start to depreciate that on a 5-year plan if they still have that available. With the sole proprietorship, here's how you want to think about it. That is still just connected. A sole proprietorship is still just under your social security number. So how the government sees it and how legally it will be seen is that you and your company are just one individual. But once you go into the level of making your company LLC, then it becomes 2 separate. Your taxes are still done together as long as you're a single member LLC, but it's seen as asset-wise, or like how people can sue you, it's seen as 2 different things. One thing that I didn't mention, of course, that they can come after is any kind of insurance that you do have on your business. And if you guys are going to be doing markets, and I do want to go ahead and put a link below just to save you guys some time and looking for insurance. Do not, if you're looking for market insurance, which is required when you do markets, especially like the farmers markets that I do. I don't know if pop-ups like require them. I'm not really sure, because I did some special events last year and they never asked for my insurance. So, and also the market that I am doing this year as a fill-in vendor didn't ask for my insurance either. But if you're doing full-time farmers markets, they are going to want to see that you have $1 million worth of liability coverage. Of course, if anybody sues you, it's going to go to the insurance first, but they can't come after with an LLC. They can't come after your home and all of that stuff. So if you are doing markets, I do want to highly recommend Campbell Risk Management. They do coverage specifically for vendors, but they start at like $285. It all depends on how much you believe you're going to make that year. I don't think it jumps to the next level unless you think you're going to make more than 30 or 35,000 a year. And then it jumps to $335 for the whole year. So that's not too bad. If you were to reach out to Farmers or a Liberty Mutual or something like that, they're going to quote you in the thousands. So don't waste your time with that. The number 2 reason why you don't want a sole proprietorship is sole proprietorships are the most highly audited kind of business by the IRS. It is my understanding that single member LLCs are right behind that. So it's best to have a multi-member LLC if you can. However, if you don't have a partner for your business, then you're probably not going to be able to do that. The third reason why you want an LLC over a sole proprietorship, it makes it easier for your bookkeeping to just keep everything separate and actually in the business name. So that way, when your deposits are coming in, you have a separate account. When you're making your cash deposit after the market, you have a separate bank or separate bank account where you can deposit those funds. You also will need a profit loss statement for your business. Okay, so you guys might be thinking, do I need QuickBooks? Do I need whatever? You do not need any of those programs. You do not need to spend a single dime for your bookkeeping. And I am going to go ahead and link below a YouTube video of a gal that I watched. I have used the tutorial that she did for a profit loss statement in Google Docs. Check out the link below for her video. Follow what she did in Google Docs where she helps you set up all the formulas. And then you're just going to not every single transaction that comes in at the market, because what I do for that is I just log that it all as the earnings for one day. So you're not going to log every single order that comes in when you're at the market and you have 30 or 50 purchases, but you will want to log one amount for that day, and then every time that you make a purchase for that business, you want to have it logged in the profit and loss statement. Also, with the formula that she does on the second page, you can see exactly where you're at any time. As long as your bookkeeping is up to date, you can see if your business is at a point where it's making a profit yet, or if you're still in a loss mode. And don't be too concerned if you make your first year out, you are in a loss. Don't be that concerned about it, especially if you're going to be a market vendor. Businesses need investment. They need money to get started. So be prepared. Unless you're really good at being very super thrifty, be prepared that first year to put potentially anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 into that business and maybe not seeing a profit in the first year. People have to get to know your brand. There is a saying out there that some people will come by a store or a vendor or an online brand 8 times before they purchase something. Keep in mind, don't give up. Know that this is a long game. It's not a short game. The number 4 reason. So I'm going to make this one really short because this is where it can get super confusing. Why you want an LLC is just in case you get to a point where your earnings, your revenue, is more than $8,000 per month, then you will want to consider doing an S corp. So you're still going to have your LLC there in the background, but the way that you're going to file with the IRS is under S corp. This gets very confusing. There are other people out online that have great videos about LLC versus S corp. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. What I'm going to do is just very simply tell you that when you have an LLC, you pay taxes just like a normal person would. But when you get into the higher earnings, then what you want to do is consider switching over to the S corp, because what you can do is make yourself an employee of your business, and you can start taking payroll, and you actually get to decide a percentage of that is dividends. You can take like 50% as, or maybe like 40%, something like that. I think you want to do more as like your payroll that you would want to pay taxes on, because you don't want to highlight to the government. If they see too high of a percentage, boom, you're going to be flagged for an audit. But you get a chance to like take 20 or 30%, or maybe even a little bit higher than that as a dividend. And on that, you don't pay any taxes. So just remember, you want an LLC, because if you're in a sole proprietorship, you can't just slip in and tell the government, now I want to be an S corp. You're going to have to go back and do all of this all over again. But if you have the LLC, then you can make that change at the time that you're filing your taxes. The fifth reason that you want an LLC. Remember how I said that if you have the sole proprietorship, it's under your social security number, and then if you have the LLC, it's under the EIN. Once you have that EIN and you have the LLC, you start building business credit. And you guys, this is super, super important. Remember how I told you that first year could be like $5,000 to $10,000 investment? It is so super helpful to be able to go out under your business and apply for a 0% credit card to help you get through the first year and even the second year. So the first year I had an Amex card at 0%, and it completely helped me to get through that first year. And then this year I have a US Bank credit card at 0%. Keep in mind that if you have the LLC, you can build that business credit, get business loans, and get, kind of that assistance to help you make your business more successful. Otherwise, it's still just all under your social security number, and you're not building any business credit for yourself. Okay, so next what we are going to do is go into there's 10 steps to forming an LLC. Step number 1, choose a name. In regards to the name, we're going to go through that in a couple of other steps down here. But first of all, what you want to do, this is the fun part. This is the creative part, choosing your name. The first thing I want you to do before settling on that name is Googling it to see if it exists somewhere else. And then we're going to do a couple of other checks throughout this just to make sure that that name can be yours. While you are Googling it, I also want you to check on any social media that you want to use, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, any of them, to make sure that the handle of the business name that you want to use is indeed available. Step number 2, if you're going to have a website for this business, go ahead and purchase that domain. Domains, if you can, it's better pricing wise if you can purchase them on like a 3-year plan. See if it's available, and if it is, and this is the name that you've decided on, go ahead and grab it. Even if you're not going to trademark your business name, grabbing that domain and grabbing that social media right up front is an excellent idea, because it prevents anybody else from even getting the idea of going and getting them. Step number 3, and this is actually what we just talked about, so if you've listened to the beginning part of this video, you've probably already made a decision on this, but you want to pick an entity type. So do you want to go ahead with the sole proprietorship and have, all of your monies intermingled and, kind of potentially have issues, or do a little bit of extra work and set up an LLC? By the way, if you're wondering what cost is up front, here in Colorado, last year they had a program, I guess, to help small business owners maybe get started or something, and I only paid $1 for my LLC. In Arizona, when I had one, I think maybe it was 110. Colorado does it a lot easier where you can just basically do it all online and get it right away. With Arizona, I think you have to mail it in, and if you want it rushed, you have to pay an extra $50. So every state is going to be different cost-wise. Also for Arizona, they don't require you to file anything every year, but in Colorado, they do require me to file something every year. And it sounds really difficult. You may think, oh, that sounds like that's really like more paperwork to file, but literally I just put a reminder on my calendar. The state also reminded me. It was like verifying my name, my address, my business name, and a couple of other things. It took me less than 5 minutes. So if your state requires that kind of annual update, don't be scared by that. They're usually really easy. Okay, so number 4, check name availability with your state. What you do want to find is the Secretary of State website. Guaranteed that is where you're going to form your LLC. Do a search within their business categories and see if that name that you have chosen comes up. If it has, pick something else. Now, that is only going to be searching for your state, right? You may also want to do a trademark search. Like, for example, you're not going to want to go out and name your company Nike because you know you're going to run into some legal issues there, right? Now, I had an Airbnb last year in Arizona, and the name that it was under, somebody in Florida had the same name, but it never became. If that brand name is really important to someone from a different state, they could potentially come after you to get their name back. I have seen it happen. The more that it's like out there online, the more that it seems like somebody already has that branding, the more they're going to protect it. If it's not being utilized on social media and the name isn't being utilized on a website, more than likely, probably they're not going to come after you for using that name. But the more unique a name you can find, the better it is for you in guaranteeing that no one's ever going to try and come after you for using what they believe is their name. Number 5, secure the name or form the entity you choose. Number 5 is actually to go ahead and file it. So like I said, in some states you can do everything electronically online. With other states you have to fill out some paperwork and go ahead and mail it in. Either way, trust me, I think I've set up like 4 LLCs in the past year. It's definitely not hard. Number 7, you need to apply with your state for a sales tax license. Like in Arizona here, they call them a transaction privilege tax application. But in my state, it's just called a sales tax license. What that is it's giving you the ability to collect taxes and pay them to the state. Anytime you apply for a market, anytime you set up a new account, if you're going to sell on a website, I just set up Amazon Handmade. They asked for my sales tax license. Everybody always wants to know your sales tax license. Number 8 is the city or county taxes and businesses licensing. Again, this may differ per state. It is very confusing here in the state of Colorado. Hopefully it is easier for you in other states. But here, what you have to do is with the state, I have to tell them where I'm gonna sell. So I'm gonna sell in Montrose, I'm gonna sell in Ridgeway. I'm probably gonna have to file something else to be able to do Crested Butte this year. Sometimes you can do that under a special license. This is where it gets a little tricky. In Colorado, I think I had to hold online for like 90 minutes to get a representative to talk to and kind of figure this out. Sometimes, this is what I was talking about, that this is a very heavy administrative kind of burden, but you can get this all done within a week if you kind of dedicate yourself to it and push through it and then move on, and you don't have to deal with it again. Number 9, and this one, you guys, is another very easy step. You just go out to irs.gov. Even in your search, you could just put IRS file for an EIN, which stands for an employer identification number. This one is literally going to take you, let me put it this way. It's easier to get an EIN with the IRS than it is to apply for Amazon Handmade, okay? Much easier. So you should be able to have one in less than 10 minutes. They literally will send you a letter almost right away with your details on it. Make sure that you keep a copy of that letter. Just keep in your business documents, make a folder for your business documents. That's where you're going to put your sales tax licensing, and just put your EIN letter from the IRS in there just in case you ever need it. And then step number 10. So we're almost done here. See, it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be, right? And you certainly don't need to go pay somebody $500 to help you do this. So step number 10 is to go open your bank business account. I would absolutely 100% recommend to just go down to whatever your favorite bank is and open a business account in person with them. I wouldn't try to do it online. Make sure, absolutely, this is so different from a personal account. It is much, much more important, a little bit more of a, I don't want to use the word difficult, but it's not like just getting a personal checking account. It's not as easy as that. It's probably 2 or 3 times as hard. So that is all there is to forming an LLC. If you can do your own taxes, you can certainly do this. In fact, I would say it's probably easier than doing your own taxes, to be honest. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you like more of this business type of content, please also comment that below. I will see you guys in the next video.